On yesterday, President Bola Tinubu took the nation by surprise when he announced the reshuffle in his cabinet. The president sacked 5 ministers, nominated 7 persons to head different ministries in his cabinet, and reassigned 10 ministers to other ministries. This will be the first major shake-up in the Federal Executive Council by President Bola Tinubu and in Nigeria's presidential history, as this happened in his second year during a 4-year term of office. To help us break down the intrigues of this shake-up, let's now speak with Umar Aminu Kalgo. He's a lawyer and secretary NBA Benin Kebbi branch. He also joins me virtually from Kebbi. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on Politics Tonight. Welcome.
My pleasure to be on the program.
Right, so how did you react to this news? Were you surprised? Did it come at the right time? Did it meet your expectations? Because, I mean, truly this was highly anticipated. Or did you think there should have been time for more reviews? Is 1 year enough? Or indeed the timing was appropriate when you put into considerations the pressure on Mr. President?
I would say, looking at the nation and the economic situation and the agitation in the country, I think is a good development. As you can see, the interest that it garnered towards the polity is great. Looking at how people have been fall aback with the governance in the country, but this has reinvigorated the discussion and the polity, and it also shows a scorecard of Mr. President to his appointees as ministers, where we saw some have gained that his vote of confidence, while some has lost it in his promise to deliver to the nation the promises he had during his campaign. So I would say you see the mixed feeling with people who are considering, and if you consider the last administration, Nigerians in the past are used to reshuffle of cabinets. But when you look at the regime that have passed, preceding regime of Muhammad Buhari, is not something that you see all the same, all coming, always. So I think it has rekindled the interest of a lot of ordinary Nigerians towards the governance and see how things are translated as we move ahead.
Let's talk about the sacked ministers, 5 of them. Do they deserve it? Do you think more names should follow? In the next batch or batches, what ministry needs new ministers?
I think it's not about mourning. You see, the ministers, that is the responsibility of Mr. President under the Constitution, to appoint such people that he has confidence that will aid him in delivering to the nation. So we are holding the president as responsible for delivering this country. So whoever he deserves that need not to be in his cabinet, I think that's what Nigerians will go with. So it's not about mourning. They have done their best for the country, and Mr. President who appointed them feel that it is time to relinquish them and bring out some other people to who he feels that will better aid him in delivering on those ministerial positions. So we should not look at it I mean, as a nation, we should look at it from this larger perspective. So when you look at their personal individual, looking at it from their personal perspective, one may have feelings for that. But this, we are talking of a nation here. So there should be no misgivings. As we handed Mr. President that mandate, he had to do all it takes to deliver.
Mr. Kalgo, who really, or who should be the better judge, or who should be the judge? Is it the government marking its own examination papers, or the people? And I'm asking because, yes, Hadiza Bala Husman was appointed special advisor to the president on policy and coordination. And according to her, every government requires effective result delivery, which includes tracking performance and managing consequences to ensure effective performance and accountability. But who should be the better judge, the government or the people?
No, the people should be the better judge for the government in general. But what we are talking here, this is the instrument of the government to deliver. The instrument of government to deliver, the president is having his team. When he checkmates his team, he is better in position and have the responsibility to checkmate his team to make it better, a better team. So in that regard, I would say the government is more in position to checkmate its team to enhance delivery. And I have seen the report, especially in the BBC Hausa, they talk extensively about the workings of Hadiza Bala Usman, the SA on policy coordination, that there was a feedback on people pertaining to the ministers and what have you. Whatever feedback is there, I think the responsibility is on the government to make sure that it's put a better team that would deliver. I believe Mr. President, where Mr. President have confidence that a certain minister is doing what is ought to do and he is delivering, no matter what people will say, will not be the thing to judge if really he is delivering. So it is a whole responsibility of the president to make sure that he has a perfect team. So I would say checkmating that team solely, squarely is on Mr. President.
But in evaluating the scrapping of...
You should have listening ears.
All right. But in evaluating the scrapping of both the Niger Delta Ministry and the Ministry of Sport Development, how would you comment the government? Because for the Niger Delta Ministry, there will now be a Ministry of Regional Development to oversee all the regional development commissions. And there have been several reactions to this development. But Chief Edwin Clark, he says there was no basis for the scrapping of the ministry. With this new development delimits the purpose of the creation of these commissions, do you agree with the elder statesman that it is important for the federal government to make further consultation? Or really, has the ministry lost its focus and needed to go?
Well, not just as a strategy, as a policy, I would talk, not by the performance of that ministry. Okay. The elder statesman is entitled to his opinion, but I have a contrary opinion. My humble self, I see it that this ministry that was created now for regional development is a coordinating ministry for all the development commission, the regional development commission. We have the Niger Delta Development Commission, and we have the Northwest, Northeast, and others. So now they have a coordinating ministry that will coordinate their work. At times, since when we have the Niger Delta Development Commission and we have the Ministry for Niger Delta, what I'm saying, nobody is saying the Niger Delta should be shortchanged. No. All the monies needed to develop that area can be infused in the Ministry for the Niger Delta Development Commission and what have you. So I think it's a good idea to have a coordinating ministry for these commissions, regional commissions. That's my humble opinion.
But, Mr. Cargo, the fear is that the purpose of creating these commissions would cease to exist. Is this fear valid?
I don't think it will cease. To me, it does not cease. It does not cease to exist. It's just that the region. It's just that it will coordinate the workings of this development commission. Nobody has scrapped the development commission. They are there. It's just that they have a uniform ministry that will coordinate their workings. So I think this is the clarification that maybe some people may have the idea that making the Ministry for Niger Delta Development now, changing it to Ministry for Regional Development is like scrapping all the development agencies, commissions that we have. No, they are there in stock. It's just that they have a ministry that will coordinate their workings.
So I wonder if you have the same submission regarding the Ministry of Sports Development was also wound up and its functions transferred to the National Sports Commission. And federal government says this is to develop a vibrant sports economy. Do you also see it as a relegation? Because for some sports enthusiasts, relegating a ministry to a commission is not the best for that sector.
Well, in terms of the name, when you look, the ministry, the ministry may seem as a relegation. But how many commissions do we have that are outperforming the ministries? you do have such, we do have, because in a commission, you find the mechanism and the administration being very vibrant one. So I would say these are just conveniences that the government has and priorities. So sports, I think, are important to Nigeria and Africa, and I believe it's a good argument if someone say it has been relegated, but to me, in terms of performance, I think it can actually optimize performance even as an agency or a commission.
Well, for the National Livestock Ministry, I'm sure you would remember that in July, a committee was inaugurated to develop and implement policies prioritizing livestock development in alignment with the National Livestock Transformation Plan. Same July, a Ministry of Livestock Development was also created, and now Mokhtar Maha has been appointed Minister of Livestock Development. You know, Nigeria has been locked in years of conflict between farmers and herders, but Mr. President believes the creation of this ministry will resolve the lingering impasse. Huge expectations ahead of him. Don't you think so, Mr. Cargo?
Yes, this is a good innovation, I think, and the issue of livestock cannot be overemphasized. Looking at the situation the country is, because when you talk about the insecurity we have, it is tied down. It has a great factor in the issue of livestock with the open grazing that we have, and you can see how this the traditional way of grazing and how these communities have plunged into the situation we are in today. Wherever you find this insecurity, the nexus would start with cattle rustling. These nomads are being, they first suffer the cattle rustling, and this thing now have a different trajectory leading and overstepping into towns the way we see it, and communal clashes the way we see it, coupled with a lot of things, because the overcrowding, the urbanization, and even the issue of global warming. So I think this ministry is a key ministry that will address a section that has been long neglected. So I think it is a very good
So if you have a sit down with the minister, what would you be telling him? What should be his priority as we speak going forward?
Well, I think his priority would be he has to look at the system we have in the past, because the issue of grazing reserves and what have you are not new in Nigeria. He has to look at those and see how, because a lot of these reserves and cattle routes have now been, they are like no more. They are being, with indiscriminately, people are taking them over. So I think it's a community issue. I think I will advise the minister to even, Jigawa State is a place that I think he should see reason to know how have they managed their system, because you can see they are somehow insulated with this issue of insecurity. And I think the connection between the nomads and the farmers there is a good one. So I think really those issue of reserves should be something that must be addressed, because the nomads, they don't claim any land. They just move ahead, and wherever the government have reserved for them, a lot of them have been overtaken. So I think even if we are thinking of settling them in reserves, I think those reserves are things that we need to do, especially in states where they have these, natural resources of this livestock.
Right. Mr. Cargo, you know, in the last 6 months, the president has shown interest in implementing the Oronsai report. We've seen him meet words with actions about his desire for a leaner government. And today, President Tinubu issued new directives on reduction in cost of governance by restricting the ministers, ministers of state and heads of agencies of the federal government to a maximum of 3 vehicles in the official convoy. But there are those who have raised concerns about whether or not we need ministers of state at all. I'd like you to speak to that.
Well, if you look at Nigeria and the way our polity is, we are a heterogeneous country, and it has become a norm. I think moving forward, as of now, I think Minister of States, for the politicians, it will be even very, very difficult for them to scrap because it will cost them dearly politically. So I think as we move ahead, really cutting cost of governance is something that we need to. But to me, the cutting cost in governance had to do with the issue of corruption. I don't want us to shun away from the issue of corruption because the leakages there is so enormous and huge.
But apart from the issue of corruption, realistically, how easy is it to manage the size of government? Would you say it's a realistic approach?
Well, the size of government, if you look at Nigeria, Nigeria is an enormous country and the population we have. So with that, for the officials you need to manage a population of over 250, you know, it has to be commensurate with that population. And you find us, I mean, lagging behind in terms of this administration. It goes even to our law enforcement agencies when you take per capita of that. To me, I think managing this country really entails. But the issue of ministerial positions is something that the government of the day can look into because the president have enormous power in terms of ministerial appointments and merger of ministries. The issue, the ordinary Nigerians want to see results. And once results are there, I believe they will agree because at the end of the day, what really matters is the results on ground.
Mr. Cargo, you know, I asked that question because there are some stakeholders periscoping the idea of e-governance in Nigeria because countries like the UK, Australia, and India introduced this measure to reduce the cost of running its government. But the truth is, do you think in trying to experiment these potentials, we should put our complexities and population into consideration? Do these pose as challenges for us as a nation?
E-government is already here. It has come to us in a way because accessibility to government institutions by the platform of cyber, I mean, is easier. And that e-governance is definitely coming to us, and there's no way we can run from technology. The size of government, I think, is always a concern with the maintenance. But I believe that Nigeria, with the population we have, really a vibrant and capable civil service is needed. Equally, a ministerial appointees capable of directing policy is really needed. At the end of the day, I will reiterate, Nigerians, what matters to them are results. If this government can deliver results with minimal ministers, it will still go for Nigerians.
All right. Mr. Cargo, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm sure we'll have another day to continue this conversation. I've been speaking with Umar Aminu Cargo. He's a lawyer and secretary, MBA, Benin Kebbi branch. Thank you so much for your perspectives tonight. Thank you so much. Please have a great night.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching, everyone. That's a package in politics tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Good night, everyone.